NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell told the league this past December he would not be accepting relocation applications for the 2015 season. That hasn't stopped St. Louis from trying to move out of the Edward Jones Dome and a few blocks away near the riverfront. But in the rapid process, Rams stakeholders seem to be on a different page.
Our owner, Stan Kroenke.
The last time Rams owner Stan Kroenke talked to the public was in 2012 when he introduced Jeff Fisher as the team's new head coach.
I don't really wait a lot before I tell people kind of how I feel.
More than 3 years later, everyone is attempting to suggest, assume, and even predict just how Kroenke feels. What we do know is the Missouri billionaire bought a 60-acre lot in Inglewood, California sometime this January, in all likelihood for a football stadium.
You don't go through all that just for a leverage move. He wants to move the Rams to L.A., to Inglewood.
In December, Governor Jay Nixon assembled a task force to look at the Rams situation. On the task force, attorney Bob Blitz and former Anheuser-Busch executive Dave Peacock are working to come up with a plan for a new St. Louis stadium. These are the renderings released in March of what the proposed stadium would look like.
The biggest frustration on the part of the Rams has been no activity from the state, the city, and the county. Well, now they have their activity. What did it take? It took Stan Kroenke announcing the Inglewood project.
There are some people, and I won't give you names, who would think that the Kroenke people found out about this St. Louis plan, and they announced their Inglewood thing to kind of trump, to one up.
Former Rams Super Bowl champion running back Marshall Faulk talked with the St. Louis radio station just before this year's Super Bowl.
I haven't spoke on this in this manner yet, but I'm going to say it. I'm disappointed that the powers to be in the city of St. Louis waited until now to make a proposal.
I'm standing where the new stadium is proposed to be built. Nixon made a verbal agreement with Terminal Railroad to make changes to this rail line, saying it would cost $3 million.
We're very reluctant to actually put an amount on that.
Terminal's chief director says he doesn't know what soil his company would be dealing with. Jay Nixon also said he's talked to all business owners who would be affected by the stadium plans. But right here on the corner of the stadium proposal is a restaurant owner who must have missed that conversation.
We really have not heard from anyone directly from the governor's office or from the Regional Sports Authority.
Al's opened in 1925 and is the oldest same family, same location restaurant in St. Louis. But Neil says her business has been overlooked and undervalued.
Your heart kind of sinks into your stomach. I would have hoped that they would have reached out to us since we have been here. We've been part of the St. Louis history and culture.
Nixon and the chair of the House Economic Development Committee, Representative Caleb Rowden, told us different stories.
The governor's got to be very creative and very intentional about making sure that at the end of the day that we're not throwing a bunch of new taxpayer dollars at this. Find a way to do this to where there's not going to be a huge cost to the taxpayer.
I don't know why I need to expand on somebody who's making up things, but the bottom line is I've laid out 6 principles. Protects taxpayers is one of those. No new additional tax burden.
Rams supporters say driving much of the confusion and miscommunication is Silent Stan, as they call the owner. And even though he has a right to talk or not, Rams beat writer Jim Thomas says, don't forget what comes before Rams.
When the Rams go out on the field, it doesn't say Kroenke Rams, you know? It doesn't say Kroenke Enterprises or THF. It says St. Louis Rams.
Not only does the public feel shut out, but the parties involved with the new stadium feel the same.
We've had no conversations with the Rams front office at all.
No, we haven't.
And it's unclear if the man in charge of the task force has talked to Kroenke. When asked about his communication with Kroenke during a teleconference in November of 2014, Nixon said,
We've remained in good communication throughout all of this, obviously, with everybody.
But then told us on February 24th,
Well, I've not talked to Stan.
Whatever the future holds for this franchise, most people just want answers.
Stan Kroenke just issuing a statement. Anything would be more valuable than a 10-win season because the people of this city are convinced that he's taking this team and moving it.
Rowden says the task force has to accept the worst-case scenario.
There's a scenario that the Rams leave and another football team comes. There's a number of conversations that we have to engage in. One is, how realistic is it that we keep the Rams?
Now, I'm not here to tell you whether the Rams will remain in St. Louis beyond this upcoming season. No one knows for sure. What I do know, though, is that Kroenke's unwavering silence has caused Rams stakeholders to take matters into their own hands.
Amy Engelbrecht is a senior cheerleader at Herman High School. Something else makes her unique.
I have cerebral palsy.
I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know how it affected Amy. I didn't know if it was cognitively or, physically.
Amy's parents didn't realize she had cerebral palsy right away.
That was probably the toughest news I've ever got.
Cerebral palsy is a permanent physical disability causing difficulties to body movements.
They treat her disability and they don't see her first.
It's not that she is mentally different. It's just the way things come out.
Cerebral palsy has a wide-ranging effect on people. One person might have weakness in one hand, while another might have stiff muscles in their arms, and someone else could have little to no control over their speech. It's a case-by-case disorder.
They think of it more as she's cognitively affected, and Amy is absolutely not.
4 years ago, Amy discovered cheerleading, even with her mom, being a mom.
It was very hard for her, which is always upsetting to me when things are hard for her. But she persevered and was determined that she was going to be, do what the other kids did, and she always kept up.
For Amy, it's like therapy.
I feel amazing. All my cares and worries of the day just go away.
Many cheering movements are tough, but that's never stopped her.
Every time we thought there was a hurdle that there's no way in the world this child could overcome, she proved the world wrong and did it times 10.
Once Amy started cheering, she didn't want to stop there. Next hurdle, stunting.
It was really hard for me and scary when she wanted to do the stunts. She wanted to go up in the air, and I said, you're going to come down. You're going to be stiff when you come down. They're not going to be able to catch you. And she's very persistent, and I want to go up. I want to go up. So we finally agreed that, okay, I guess you can do it.
And she did.
A couple years of begging, everyone finally let me do it.
She's not just a girl with a disability beating the odds. She's pretty good, too. Amy was one of 3 girls awarded the Outstanding Leadership honor through the National Cheerleaders Association. And for those around her, Amy's spirit is contagious.
Anything she wants to do, she'll set her mind to it and she'll get it done.
You never know what's going to happen next with her.
It's going to be a fun lifetime watching her grow.
I think that she is just a beautiful lady, and she's going to do whatever it is she wants to do.
Amy Engelbrecht, a special young woman, ready for the next challenge.
Cerebral palsy is just a hurdle to jump over, not a barrier.
Jay Wallis, KOMU 8 Sports, Herman.